We challenge hate when we face it, but we do it with love while always striving to make the world a better place.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel Zegler is in tears right now, and Gal Gadot might have just blamed her for the whole Snow White disaster. I mean, fans already expected Snow White to flop. The backlash had been building for months. But what Rachel probably didn't expect was Gal allegedly turning on her after everything went down. And now, it's not just internet gossip anymore. We've got behind-the-scenes leaks and even the producer's own son calling Rachel narcissistic.
I'm a narcissist.
All right. So first things first. Snow White is officially Disney's biggest box office flop. But movies flop all the time. So then the real question becomes, why is Rachel Zegler catching all the heat? She's not the director. She didn't write the script. She's not in charge of marketing. So what made this flop feel so personal? Well, here's where things get messy. Remember when Gal got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? It was a big moment, and lots of people showed up to support her. But guess who was not there? Rachel Zegler. And I know some of y'all might be thinking, well, maybe Rachel was just busy that day. Could have been a scheduling conflict. But when you zoom out and look at the timeline, it gets hard to ignore how off things felt. Because Rachel didn't just skip that event. She and Gal didn't pose together at the LA premiere either. They didn't even sit near each other. Rachel was placed 2 rows ahead of Gal and her family. Now, if everything was friendly between them, wouldn't we have at least one picture of them together? Considering this, let's go back to the Oscars. A fan on Instagram asked Rachel if she and Gal were presenting together, and instead of saying something good, Rachel calls Gal a professional pageant queen. That's not really a compliment, especially not in Hollywood, where public image matters a lot. And people noticed. That comment rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way, and after that moment, Disney made a decision. According to insiders, the studio started keeping them apart during all the press events. They were scheduled for separate appearances. No joint interviews, no red carpet moments. And again, if there was no real issue, why would Disney go that far? Studios don't just separate their 2 lead actors for fun, especially not when one of them plays Snow White and the other plays the evil queen. The whole point of the promo should have been about that face-off, but Disney leaned way back and kept them miles apart.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing. If I'm gonna stand there each...
This situation also made fans even more convinced that something was happening behind the scenes. And suddenly, this whole flop scenario started feeling a lot less like a random movie failure, and way more like a PR scheme. Meanwhile, Jonah Platt, the son of Snow White's producer Mark Platt, stepped into the chat and blamed Rachel for this controversy. He said Rachel brought a narcissistic personality to the project. Now, somebody on Instagram tried to drag his dad by calling Mark Platt creepy as hell. But instead of ignoring it, Jonah said his dad flew across the country just to confront Rachel about her behavior. This comment really makes you wonder, if a high-level producer is actually flying cross-country to have a face-to-face conversation with their lead actor about how they're handling things publicly, that means there was real tension going on while filming.
What can you say? When you get people talking, it's a good thing.
All right, now let's talk about the post that really started this whole thing. Right after the Snow White trailer crossed 120 million views in just 24 hours, Rachel tweeted, "Free Palestine." Well, a political post isn't rare, especially from young actors. But this tweet came at the exact moment when the movie finally had some momentum. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Gal Gadot is Israeli, and not just culturally. She actually served in the Israeli military. That's a big part of her background, and she's been public about it for years. So that Free Palestine tweet didn't just feel political, it created an instant divide. Gal started receiving online threats, and it got bad enough that Disney boosted her security. says a lot about how intense things got. Meanwhile, Rachel stood by her opinion. She didn't apologize, didn't explain anything. And yeah, freedom of speech is real. But when you're under a multi-million-dollar contract with Disney, there are some restrictions to your speech. Disney's whole cast was furious, especially Gal. The relationship between the two co-stars just got way more complicated. From that moment, the Snow White press tour got super weird. Gal and Rachel were on completely different tracks. There was radio silence between two people who are literally supposed to be the stars of the same movie. And you can't fake that kind of distance, not when all eyes are on you.
Please. You were saying...
So Gal did this interview with Variety, and when they asked her about the Snow White situation, she said something like, "There's so much hate going on right now. People are scared to talk." Now, that sounds like a general comment about the state of the world, but fans caught that instantly. People were like, that sounds like a subtle dig at Zegler. Because here's the thing. The timing was right after Rachel's political tweet, the press tour fights, the flop at the box office. Gal knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't name anyone, but when you drop a line like that while sitting in the middle of a huge PR mess, everyone knows what you were saying. Either way, it was the most professional clapback you could imagine, but sharp enough that fans knew what was up.
I think it's time for Snow White tonight to have a little talk.
Gal's been doing this for a while. She knows the game. You don't always need to go all in to make a point. Sometimes just one sentence is enough to let the world know. Meanwhile, Rachel was trying to keep it positive. On the day of the premiere, she posted a little carousel on Instagram, but people were quick to point something out. Gal wasn't in any of the pictures. It was like Gal had been completely erased from Rachel's version of the premiere. But what really sealed the deal was Rachel ending her caption calling Snow White the #1 movie in the world. And look, I want to stay hopeful, but at that point, the numbers were out. The film performed badly. So when she said that, fans started thinking, are we watching the same movie? Okay, let's back it up for a second. Because Rachel's problems didn't just start after the movie flopped. She was already on thin ice before Snow White even arrived in theaters. You might remember her doing press and calling the original Snow White extremely outdated. She also said the prince was a stalker.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
Well, I understand where she was trying to go with it. She wanted to push this woke agenda of an independent Snow White. But the way she said it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Because let's be real, this is a Disney classic. It's not just some random old movie. People grew up on that version. It was the first full-length animated film Disney ever made. It's literally part of the studio's identity. So, when Rachel went off, fans took that personally. They came up with 1-star reviews, YouTube dislikes, and non-stop commentary on Twitter. Some fans even said they were planning to boycott the movie months before it came out. But let's be fair here. Was Rachel perfect? Absolutely not. But did she single-handedly destroy a $270 million Disney movie? Let's not rush to that. Because when you zoom out, this movie had problems from the start. People couldn't even figure out if it was supposed to be a remake or a total reboot. And let's not pretend Gal Gadot's hands are totally clean either. She's a global star, but she's had box office flops too. So this isn't all because of Rachel. But she's definitely the face of this controversy. She's the one everyone remembers, from the awkward interviews, the tense press moments, the political tweets. And sometimes when a project performs so badly, studios need someone to blame. And guess who was front and center? Rachel. But here's the real question. Was she a scapegoat, or did she actually make things worse? Because the answer might be a little bit of both. So now it's over to you. What do you guys think? Is Rachel the one responsible for this whole mess? Or was this just one big studio disaster? Leave your thoughts in the comment and subscribe to stay connected.